In the tapestry of life, where every thread holds a story, America in Black and White emerges as a haven for the voices echoing through the heart of our communities. In this podcast, we wade through the rivers of our collective experiences, celebrating the vibrant hues of change brought forth by the whispers of hope and the roars of action. It's more than just a conversation. It's a journey into the heart of our society, illuminated by the light of those daring to dream and do. Join us, and let your voice be the melody that guides us toward a dawn where every color finds its place in the masterpiece of our shared destiny. Together, let's paint a future brimming with the positives that dwell in our minds and the actions that shape our.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of America in Black and White. Tonight on America in Black and White, we welcome a man whose life stands at the intersection of faith, scholarship, leadership, and community transformation. Apostle Benjamin-Carlindo-Carlos King Jr. is not simply a pastor. He is a builder of people, a restorer of families, and a voice of apostolic clarity in a generation searching for direction. From Greenville, North Carolina, he leads Covered Directed Fellowship, an apostolic ministry rooted in spiritual restoration, the fivefold ministry, and the belief that every person carries a divine assignment. His reach extends far beyond the pulpit into counseling rooms, community spaces, digital platforms, and multi-regional fellowship networks that he oversees with conviction and compassion. But Apostle King is also a scholar, a man who pursued education with the same intensity that he pursued ministry. With degrees in theology, psychology, and counseling, and certifications in addiction counseling and student support, he stands as a bridge between spiritual formation and mental health, between divine calling and human need. He is a CEO, an operations manager, a community advocate, and a spiritual father to many. And when it comes to Black history, he draws deep inspiration from Malcolm X, a man whose discipline, transformation, and unapologetic commitment to truth shaped Apostle King's own journey as a leader. Tonight, we explore his life story, his ministry, his work in the community, and the lessons he carries into every room he enters. This is episode 66. This is America in Black and White, and this is a conversation you don't want to miss. Let's bring to the stage Apostle King.
Hello, how you doing?
Hello, sir. How are you?
All right, and yourself?
I am excellent. Thanks. Thanks for being here. So is there anything you'd like to say to the audience before we get into the show?
Honored to be here. Um, I've been awaiting and knew of this well over a year now, so I'm honored to be here today.
Well, I appreciate that, and let's get into the show. And we're going to start first where I would like to have the audience have the opportunity to get to learn more about you before we get into all of the wonderful things that you're doing.
Okay.
Can you tell us who was Benjamin-Carlindo-Carlos King Jr. before the titles, the degrees, and the leadership roles?
I am an individual that I have passion of my heart. I'm content in doing the Lord's work. The titles don't really make who I am. Um, there's just an add-on. Someone that was rooted as 4, 5, 6 years old until now, approaching 40 years. I give God all the glory and credit because it's nothing that I've done. It's all in what was connected of what He has done.
So, what early experiences shaped your understanding of faith and purpose?
Life experiences. knowing that I was called out of my mother's womb at 4 and 5 years old.
Okay.
And real
You've
up.
you've got a sound that sounds something like a robot.
Yes,
Are you getting
most
feedback?
definitely.
Okay, because I
Might
can what
it's kind of staticky.
okay. So at any rate, so what was your early experiences that shaped your understanding of faith and purpose?
Being rooted with my grandmother, my aunt, my great aunt, they showered me, not so just within church per se, but with love. Um, they showered me with affectionate. They showered me with um, pretty much things that was outside of what was constituted within the streets.
So, how did your upbringing influence your calling into ministry?
My influence, it did it a lot. Me being a business owner with my first business as a freshman in high school, it was about providing service. It wasn't all about the money. Actually, in high school, how much debt am I actually involved in or invested in? So, the calling was vested, and my faith walk, and now to the point in this world was dealing with things that was constituted within the church, but also it was more lines of having an understanding of life. Just like I wouldn't necessarily approach someone and just preach them to death or give them a word to death. Show them about life, show them about transparency, show them about what can help edify them if they have the mindset to truly live a whole life, to live their life accordingly, and to do what is according and what is fitted for them.
So, how did when you say manifest, is this like a manifestation of you actually connecting with people in your community or people in general that you were working with or you was helping?
Yes, for the most part, yes.
So, what was the moment you first recognized that God placed a mantle on your life?
Um, the work that's out here in the vineyard is not for the faint of heart. It's not for someone that think that they have a calling on their life. It's not for someone that um, is not depositing different elements in their life or operate within the nuggets of that is within the pedigree of them moving forward and going forward. You know, being about not just God's business, but about their business. Just like we shouldn't blame the devil for everything when it's our flesh that results to us doing different things in particular.
So, as you're explaining that, let me make sure I understand. We understand how that's actually going. Are you saying that for those things that kind of like naturally transport just transpired and happened in your life, that it was like a calling from God that escalated you to that point?
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. Who were the spiritual voices that guided you in your early years?
My grandmother, um, that would be my aunt, and it would be my great aunt. My great aunt and my grandmother is no longer with us, but my aunt, Miss Brenda Isla King, she's still here. I had a network of individuals, faith believers that entrusted in me. That would even go back to my spiritual leader and father, Reverend H. O. Simmons.
So how for those that I guess maybe not quite understanding the spiritual realm, in that matter in which you just when you answer that question, exactly how do you know that calling, and how will you know that's supposed to happen?
I had a vision, and the Lord spoke to me like it was just as clear as day, and He told me to run with it. Um, Many of us subject ourselves to option because of what's happening in our everyday life, or we don't choose to be beneficial. What is coordinating in our lives? We can get to a point in a place where we're lacking or we're looking for something, and not having the correct mindset of understanding what truly God has set forth and in regards of moving forward in our lives.
So, what challenges did you face on your journey to becoming an apostle leader?
For about 33 of the 40 years that I've been in ministry, I was doing evangelism. I was doing outreach only. I ran from pastoralship, or shall I say, operate within the fivefold ministry. I didn't want to be a pastor. Um, Many have told me, they said, even something to the apostle realm, everybody was saying, um, you're called to be a prophet, you're called to be a seer. Well, the problem with that is I had heard from God and not heard from man. And that was the problem, was the big problem.
Okay. How did your personal struggles shape the leader you are today?
My personal struggles allowed me to show everyone that I'm human. My personal struggles allowed me to show individuals that it's funny you say that because I have come across certain individuals that call themselves trying to blackmail me.
Oh God.
But I had a, yeah, mouth is an open book. You can go and talk to anybody from the churches that we affiliate with, uh, from me as a child to my classmates, and you will have an understanding that what are you trying to mail and black or black and mail again? You can't do it because my life is an open book. I've never been one that felt that I had to shun who I am. I've never been one to feel that, I had to have some type of third type motive or whatever the case may be. That's not me, never have been me, never will be me.
So when you think about not just situations like that, but as to getting to where you are now, can you tell us how were you able to pull all of that together to be the leader that you are now?
Well, I'm proud to say in 40, September 20th, 1986, I've been a non-paid virgin. And which basically means I've never taken a paycheck from the denomination, never taken a paycheck from a particular church. Um, God has entrusted in me. He's given me my activities of my life. He's blessed me to the point in the place where I've never had to worry about really my finances. I've been able to work under someone else. And I've also been able to be to a point in a place to have an understanding um, where our church has what we call corporate sponsors. And our corporate sponsors, they basically supply we need. We're linked in with a beautiful IRS CPA agency that basically does their taxes. And so they need a nonprofit to pour into. So they pour into Covenant Fellowship now. Think about that in almost 40 years that I've never received a salary, never been on a payroll. Yes, I do receive love offerings. But the love offerings, I did not really become a pastor and started operating within the fivefold ministry before I became an apostle. Individuals were telling me that I was blocking somebody else's blessing and them trying to sow into me. And that was the problem. So individuals don't truly have an understanding at the end the day, whoever's ministry and how they conduct and what they do works in the best regard of them. But maybe that's not what the line is in the course of covenant fellowship.
So, what role did family play in your development as a man and minister?
Um, Family really kept me close. They really kept a sharp eye. They ensured a lot of my travels that went forward with me in this ministry for the places that I've been to. I'm in the fellowship has 10 locations, even as I speak. It was rooted in me through my grandmother. It was rooted in me through her and uh, my aunt Dorothy Miller. They was, I mean, I was driving their cars. You think back in the 80s, they had these big boat type cars, and I was driving their cars, what they call them land yachts. I was driving their cars 14, 13, 14 years old. And I had a hunger for the ministry. I had a hunger to serve. I had a hunger to be about our Father's business. And this was about, and that's exactly what I was doing.
So, how do you balance the weight of leadership with your own humanity?
We have four ministers, and this is what I was going to get to. We have four ministers actually on our payroll. We have a local pastor, husband and wife team. We have an assistant pastor and an associate pastor. Uh, the strange thing about it is they quit their jobs to quit their careers. And they got to the point in the where they believed in the vision. They believed in the church. And to know that I forego my salary to be able to feed four households is a beautiful, well, three households is a beautiful.
Mhm. So, what is one defining moment that changed the trajectory of your life?
1992, when my grandmother died, it got me to look at life as a whole. It got me to the point of understanding that things that's cultivated around us as being human beings will happen, and we just have to cope with certain things, and ask God to give us the strength that we need to move forward.
Well, I think situations like that just depends where they bring about many things that go on, and it seems like as things have transpired as through your journey, you were able to adjust and continue to keep moving, which shows real strong resilience. Let's transition over to your education, scholarship, and professional development.
Mhm.
You pursued multiple degrees: theology, psychology, counseling. What drove that academic hunger?
Um, Funny because most of my degrees that I do have, I received those degrees help churches, to help nonprofits, to help um, individuals, organizations that did not have the information, that didn't have the insight what they needed, and of course, where they maybe had to pay a grant writer because I write grants, but I write the grants for, I don't know too many grant writers that are turning down $6,000 or $7,000 per grant, just to be able to sell into a ministry or organization, but I don't charge for grants either. So a lot of what I have is informative for me to be able to pass down information to churches and or organizations that don't or are not aware or don't have an awareness of um, what is truly what they need to be able to provide for the church member or they lay members.
Can you add a little bit more to that and explain to us with the different degrees that you have,
Mm-hmm.
like when you wanted to get all of that education, how do they correlate together in your purpose?
Well, just on the measurement of therapy, a lot of Christian faith believers don't believe in therapy. They don't feel like they need therapy. They feel like they can just go to God with all the problems. But see, here's the thing: God allowed us to have faith-based faith. As myself, therapist, psychologist. That's not just out here to get your money, but it's out here to actually have a genuine care and have a genuine concern. You know, um, with my degrees, anything that I'm associated with or that I'm doing, it's about providing service. It, it goes right in line with what we're doing with the ministry as far as outreach. It's just me using my degrees for a different purpose.
Okay. So, how has your theological training shaped your ministry approach?
It has worked well, and it has proven to do one for me. Reason being is because I was able to um, use what God gave me in education, not just in ministry. I was able to give back what He gave as far as not only being in realistic mindset or in the reality or the now, it was able to conjoin with the presence of the physical and spirituality all in one.
Okay. What does studying psychology teach you about the human condition?
A lot of late nights, a lot of late nights, but I look at the point in the place that it was worth it. It was worth the struggles. It was worth uh, things that I was enduring. It was worth the ups, the downs, highs. It was worth it. I won't complain in constructive with my journey, whether it's with spirituality, uh, whether it's working in the reality, educational, my journey altogether. Um, because see, God has gotten me to one in the place. You know how in most churches they talk about being in and out of season. Well, God has set me up for a lifetime where I'm out of seasons. I'm not looking to ever yield back to a season. The Lord has just set me up for a lifetime.
So, did you specify an area of psychology that you study, or do you kind of like take it around everything that goes with psychology?
Basically, everything that goes with it, because it's also helped me with my childhood trauma. Things that I dealt with, whereas my parents, I'm not going to say they dropped the ball, but they just kind of swept it up under the rug. So I had a hunger to understand why was I feeling a certain way, why was I going through that and the other.
Wow. So then, in this case, I mean, like, how many of the people from your ministry are you having to talk with on that level? To help to calm and make their mental health better. How many of your clients are actually a part of your ministry?
I would say what I can say, because a lot of that is dealing with confidentiality, but I would say at least
Right.
four.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, no, I wouldn't want you to divulge your name, but I just think that, I think that's better for your ministry, especially that, that they could go and they can get that kind of counseling because a lot of people, as you say, you say the people in the church don't think they need to see therapists, but I think I think going to therapy is much better than a lot of people will ever imagine. I found that out
Exactly.
myself firsthand because it's really great, and I'm sure that they appreciate you for that. Um, how does your counseling background influence your pastoral care?
Um, it allows me to reach different demographics, children, middle age, teenagers. It gives me a dynamics to be able to deal with 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, my age 49, 40-year-olds, 50s, it's a demographics of everything. Married couples, couples that's single, couples that's enduring hard, whatever the case be.
Oh wow. Well, I gotta tell you, it sounds like you're a busy man,
Uh,
because
Very
that's a
much so.
lot. So what gaps did you see in ministry that your education helped to fill?
Um, just not enough individuals passionate for caring to share.
So how do you integrate faith and mental health in your work?
For the most part, yes.
How do you do that?
Um, by not being biased, being understanding, by taking certain elements out of your mindset, by looking at what somebody else have endured, went through.
What misconceptions do people have about pastors pursuing academic excellence?
Um, that they're not human or they're super pastor without faults, that they haven't gone through anything. They don't know the standard of what life is. Maybe because they, they feel individuals feel that they can't speak on something that maybe they haven't lived it or they've not endured it directly.
So when it's something that they haven't dealt with directly, how does your counseling or your therapy help them to come to better understand these conclusions and things that could work for them?
Well, the whole thing of the nip in the bud is if they work and they are consistent, then we all can grow. I'm not looking to gain any type of moving forward or any type of anything off of someone else's downfall or dream shattered positions that seem to be implanted by life within itself.
So how has your LCADC certification shaped your work with addiction recovery?
Yes, yes, that came through my failed relationships. Uh, my ex decided to drive a car, and yeah, totally. Then there was a situation there with the DUI, and so my whole thing through that is in my personal life, looking at the fact of what did I do to contribute it? What did I do? What signs? What was I not able to see? And through that scenario, it wasn't about the vehicle because it was total and it was sure paid up. Um, it gave me question my home to understand. No, I haven't been to a point in place where I have one of my own, but someone that was near and near close to me got one behind it, and so that's what pursued me because I said if I can help just one, I
Yeah.
think
Oh, so what was the addiction? Was the addiction alcohol that caused
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Oh wow. Oh man. I'm sorry to hear that. That's a mm. What does being a student assistant coordinator teach you about youth and trauma?
That was able to maybe relate to young folks in general. Um, when you're engulfed in situations like traditional, maybe sounds like "Pass Me By," "Oh Gentle Savior," and certain songs and activities that work for our parents or our grandparents, and maybe work for us, is not going to work for the generation now. So I had to learn how to tap into the youth now to understand what they were going through. I hear a lot of them, they can't stand rap music. Well, I'm one that I will listen to help me have an understanding of the lyrics so I can get a greater knowledge and understanding what the youth is enduring is going through. Because how can I speak on something if I don't know what's going on, have not lived through the experience, or do not have someone that's close to me that has endured that?
So, can you tell us what's the difference in working with the youth and adults when it comes to trauma?
So if they have a will and a drive and a desire, then that's that's the could be the difference, and it can be the similarity because an individual say, "Well, young folks is doing this, that, and the other." Well, older folks are doing the same. So it don't have nothing to do with age.
Okay. Okay. How do you continue to grow intellectually and spiritually?
By continuing to feed my mind, continuing to feed my mind, continue to have a made up mind of not giving up, move past circumstances and upset's that come up in my life, and just keep moving forward.
So let's talk about your pastoral leadership and apostolic ministry. What is the core mission of covered directed fellowship?
Understanding that we are covered by God, but we're also directed to do different things. We're directed to move as He says move, go as He says go. And the most prominent thing, or maybe the second, is to serve. It's to serve the community, to be about the community, to understand that, life is going to happen, but you have a covering. If we are following in line with God's directed paths, guess what? No, that does not mean we're going to be immune to certain things. It just means that we can try harder to do what thus said the Lord, to move accordingly and to do as He said do.
So, how do you define apostolic ministry in today's world?
Um, by being pro-existent, by having an understanding, by studying, by showing ourselves and not just speaking on certain things, but doing the work.
So, break this down for me so you help me understand what is the difference between an apostle, a minister, and a pastor?
We're all within the same family. A minister, more so, is not necessarily operating within the fivefold ministry. You you got the teacher, the pastor, also the prophet, um, and the evangelist, which is within the fivefold ministry. So some titles, like in high school, my title was Reverend, which is man-made. So it's important to ensure that you're working within the fivefold ministry. It's important that you have an understanding of what God has shown you and given you. It's important to understand that, when you speak on certain things and you say certain things and you share certain things, that you back it up with His scripture. You back it up with His word.
So, what does spiritual restoration mean to you?
Resting in God, being restored in God, having a reflection of God, having a reference of God.
So, when in having that reflection and that restoration, I mean, how do you get that message out to the people in your congregation to help them to feel a little bit comfortable and at ease about everyday living?
Um, that life within itself has challenges. Life within itself has troubles. Life within itself is not going to just be like a brand new car with a bow on it. Times you have to go through that hill and how to have an understanding as to where totally you're going.
How do you cultivate leaders within your fellowship network?
By networking, branching out, giving information, giving insight, holding different conferences, things to that effect in nature.
So, I mean, are you doing that to have people do like just various jobs that you need them to do, or to just be a part of the leadership that you're carrying throughout the church?
The thing is that we're done. Secondly, in the course of leadership, um, we have certain things that's going on outside of covenant. So we ensure that we are mainstreaming doing the work of covenant fellowship. Because if home is not taken care of, then how can we go out and be proficient to any other ministry?
So what is the biggest misconception about the fivefold ministry?
Um, that they certain individuals are called by people instead of getting the true inclination of being called by God. When you're operating in the fivefold ministry, you must ensure that you are called and being called by God, not man, not people.
Okay. So how do you maintain unity across multi-regional churches?
Um, being ourselves. The work that's being at hand, it shows. The work that we are proficient about, it shows and it grows, and we go forth and we just be within our truth.
So just in doing that, like how many different regions or how many different churches that you have under your command?
We have 10 locations. Far south is Georgia, north is Maryland, west as Tennessee.
Okay. So what role does digital ministry play in your outreach?
It gives us a chance to reach out to those that may be in the nursing home, maybe those that don't want to be a member of the church but still want to connect. Maybe those who are investigating the church want to be under watch care. You know, individuals love their own ministry that they're a part of, but they don't mind supporting other ministries. So,
So how do you approach preaching in a generation that is easily distracted?
I ensure the topics that's going forward, the messages that's going forward, is directly and diverted by God, not me.
So what is the most rewarding part of pastoring?
Serving, serving,
Oh,
and being of service.
okay. What is the most challenging part?
Um, Feeling that maybe I've let someone down, or maybe not have put forth my all into the assignment that was at hand.
So let's talk a little bit about your entrepreneurship and you being the CEO of King's Entrepreneur Enterprise LLC. What inspired you to create King's Entrepreneur Enterprise LLC? What inspired that?
It's been in business for over 30 years within itself. Um, it started out landscaping, then converted into detailing, which I sold the company about years ago after 30 years of service. And then just recently, within a half years, it converted into hotel hospitality, which is the mainstream. I'm an investor of three different properties now. We just purchased our third property with other investors. King's Entrepreneur Enterprises holds the deed to all the hotels, which basically means that we have more to lose in the event that something goes to a point in the place where we go belly up. We're grateful be to God that that has not happened. The third, well, the second hotel that we had a mortgage on it. Not a mortgage. We had a business loan on it, and grateful be to God,
Oh,
the buyers or the corporate corporations that support the church, um, mm, they paid off what was owed. good to be in a mindset of having your business debt free, and me personally debt free. I've been debt free for 2 years now. The business been debt free for a year.
You need to tell
And
us how you did that.
um, well, the corporate agencies that we have, that's the church, have basically been with us the entirety of the time. And at the end of the day, I couldn't write a book or a manuscript. It was nothing I ain't doing it.
So is that something also that you teach to your ministry, or that is financial literacy?
Not necessarily, but I let it be known. We are a ministry that gives out information. We give out
Okay.
information. We don't withhold anything. If we know anything in accordance that can help you in your livelihood be better, why not share it?
Oh, wow. So, what services or initiatives does your company focus on?
Um, I mean, we do it all within the church, uh, personally, professionally. Um, King's Entrepreneur Enterprises was once its own identity, but then Covenant Elected Fellowship has been operational. This will be our third year, and somehow the two have just crossed. You know, God has just allowed us to move forward with our, corporation entrepreneurs that stand in and stand up to go and move forward anything that we have going on. You know, um, and it's got to be something going because again, Covenant Fellowship is under 3 years old, and we have 10 nations. So again, it's nothing that I've done. You know, it's what God has done.
So, how do you merge ministry leadership with business leadership?
Um, be on my P's and Q's. There's basically no other way around it. How I represent myself in business, I equate that and represent myself within the church.
So when you decided to segregate those, I mean, like, how do you know if you're actually crossing a line over into the other?
Well, for one thing, I'm not a pastor that's holding it down. You know, I don't portray myself as someone that's better than my brethren or brother, better than my, we all on equal playing field. You know, it's about moving forward, going forward, and do what the calling has assembled for us to do.
What does entrepreneurship mean to you as a man of faith?
Um, just doing what's right and doing what is required of me.
How do you help others discover their own leadership potential?
To look deep within themselves and whatever hobby they have or dream they have, pursue it.
So, what is the biggest lesson you've learned as a CEO?
Be understanding. Be understanding and trust God and what He is doing and what He has done.
So, how do you build systems that empower people rather than control them?
Um, Understanding that it's nothing that how I react or react certain way, but to have an understanding and a basis that when you trust God and you have an understanding despite of what is going your way, despite of how the scenario of things have played out, that God has still entrusted you to do as He said, and to seek Him in all understanding.
What role does innovation play in your enterprise?
Um, Being intuitive and truly understanding what is your notion of methods. What is your notion of not having to feel like that you got to get back and because of society, or get back because of something that you truly don't have an understanding about in regards.
So in that case, I guess that means that you always have to be intuitive because you never know what situation is arising. What has been a
Yes,
situation that you have to have been at the top of your game in being intuitive about a situation?
providing service,
Can you say that
providing,
again?
yeah, providing service and being upright.
How do you mentor emerging leaders?
Um, about being an example. You know, my life is not perfect. Like naturally, I will have faults, situations, scenarios to come up, but I don't allow that to deter me. I don't allow that to defer who I am as a whole.
So, what is your long-term vision for King's Entrepreneur Enterprise?
To just continue to move forward, continue to invest, continue to have an understanding and a mindset of what true goals are about.
Okay, let's move over to your work as in operations management and organizational leadership. What does an operations manager bring to an organization?
Life in itself can take a lot of guesswork of what you perceive is in the national or in what is rational or what is the now. You know, if you don't operate in the now, then you're going to come up short on something. You're going to fall short on the true goal that is at mind. And you're not going to truly have an understanding about what is it that you can perceive to go forward and go forth.
So, how do you approach structure and accountability in leadership?
By trusting God. That's the first pinpoint of your mindset is trust Him.
What systems do you believe every organization needs?
Understanding, patience, dedication.
So, with having those things, what is that going to do for the organization, or what would you project it to do for an organization?
Um, Certain things will help you if you are consistent. Certain things will help guide you if you truly have an understanding about what you're doing and how you're doing and how you're going forth and how you're moving forward.
Hmm. Okay. So, how do you handle conflict resolution within teams?
Being an example and having different drills going forward and doing different skits and bringing in different speakers, individuals that have gone through particular problem, scenario, situation, whatever the case may be.
What is your philosophy on organizational culture?
Um, that's a big one. 'Cause it's ever changing. So with that and the aspects, you have to change with the time. You know, it goes back to what I'm saying. Certain things, the ways that we went as maybe our forefathers or our great aunts and grandparents done this, that, or the other. It doesn't work in this society or in this phase. You know, um, at this time, it's about adapting. But with that being said, do not lose yourself in the process or the transition. Just moving forward.
Okay. So how do you balance compassion with discipline?
Um, if you're not trustworthy, Um, if you have some type of interior motives or feel like that you are doing something up underhand, or you just have some type of nasty type attitude, it's not going to do you or avail you much. You know, life within itself is a bounce, and you get out of it what you put in it. You can guarantee upon yourself, or you can have a recipe for success by living your life, not necessarily all being so caught up in the mindset of what the world perceives as, feel like we have to be all spiritual based. No, just enjoy life. Enjoy life, uh, not breaking any laws of both, and just be a good steward.
So when you think of a situation like that, does that sound like something that falls under your umbrella of maybe some counseling and therapy that you might need to do with those individuals?
Most definitely. Most definitely.
And so just on a scenario, what would that look like and how would you make that happen?
Um, well, when you have someone that has gone through life experiences, when you have someone that has gone through certain situations, um, you have someone that's what I call a living example. It helps around and along all platforms. You know, um, you can be doers, whatever, but what are you intuitively tied into doing? If that makes sense.
Okay. Okay. So, what leadership traits do you believe are non-negotiable?
Um, treating others as they should be treated, doing to others as you would have done it to you. Not encroaching on somebody's um, mindset when you feel like you feel that you're better than them because maybe they have something ongoing or something that they're dealing with or something that they're trying to fix. And they're not where you are spiritually. They're not where you are maybe physically, or they're just not positioned themselves where you are. We all are at a point in the place where we're at different levels, but we're headed in the right direction on an 8-lane highway. You may be driving a Maserati, I might be driving a Pinto. You're going to get where you need to get to quicker and faster, but I may get to where I need to get to. You know,
I hear you. So it's like the tortoise and the hare.
exactly, exactly.
Um, how do you measure success in an organization?
Success comes from the eye of the beholder. It comes from the individual that have put forth uh, in everything that they can conquer. That's on the good mindset. Um, Not being fake, not being phony. You know, showing that at the end of the day, regardless of what we have attributed, what title we may be classified or classification we're up under, at the end of the day, we're human. We're human first. And it shows that when life tragedies happen and you humble yourself, or when you continue to feel like that you're riding your hot horse and, the horse that came into town with you, know.
Well, answer this question for me from a therapeutic perspective. When you have a lot of people that put that extra pressure on themselves to be better and to do better. If a situation occurs like that with any of your constituents, how would you handle that situation?
Be yourself. Be yourself. I have an open door policy. Trusting in God. Be inclusive about your decisions, your directions, um, and know that God got you at the end of the day.
what advice do you give leaders who feel overwhelmed?
Your life, when you're so heavy, sometimes we need to yield back. Sometimes we need to get to a point in the place where we're not so caught up or consumed with what everybody else is doing, but be caught up with what we're doing. Be our best, not trying to be comparison to someone else or trying to be feeling as if we are belittled amongst ourselves to be better. If we're trying to and want to be better than ourselves.
So, how do you build teams that reflect excellence?
It's good for individuals that maybe if they're going through, they have different situations that maybe is intuitive for them, and they know the true notion or true measure of what is coaching them, or they can't get a mindset of how can they move forward and go forward, show them direction. You know, don't just give them certain things, but show them. You know, I can tell you the eyes blue all day long. You're in a house with no windows, no doors. You can't clear out. You know, are you gonna trust me that the sky is blue, or is that, or are you gonna trust that it's night? See, it's imperative that as leaders we lead by example, whether within ministry
Right.
or within our professional areas.
Let's talk a little bit about your work in community outreach and the social impact. What does community outreach mean to you personally?
Service, providing service, and doing things within the community, and not trying to get to a point in the place where we feel like we need to lose to follow us around. A lot of things that we do, we partner with other churches or organizations or ministries that's been in the area for a while. We partner up on them, whatever goal they have, and we go to our corporate sponsors and we say, this is what we got going on, this is what we want to raise. I cannot remember, but maybe I can count on one hand how many times we've come short in 39 years currently, because we're not at the year mark. But in 39 years where we've come short, I can count on one hand. The corporate sponsors have always been there. They've always pushed it. And it's never God. It's nothing that we've done or they've done. God done it. He gets the glory.
So, how do you address the spiritual and practical needs of the community?
Having an awareness, being visible, to the point of the place of providing service. But as far as like donations, stuff, be anonymous about it. You know, we don't have to get recognition about what we're doing. You know, we don't have to. I mean, Jesus wasn't going around writing checks out for millions and millions of dollars and trying to get recognition for it and getting the wing of a building his name on it, this, that, and the other. But, you know, he done things and he walked the path that he was supposed to. He did what was he was supposed to do accordingly, and he wasn't looking for no type of news crew to follow him around to put him on CNN, Fox, NBC, CBS, or any other of these broadcasters.
So, what issues facing Black communities concern you the most?
Somebody working together. If we can work together and we can figure this thing out together, then we'll all be better off.
So, with and thinking of all of the division that's within the communities and so forth, I mean, like, what are some of the things that you're doing as far as your awareness and so forth that could actually help to alleviate and make these situations a little bit better?
Well, I say Covenant Liquor Fellowship again, we have 10 locations and we're under 2.5 years old. So obviously we're doing something right in the community where individuals want to know about church. Um, and in actuality, we spend more time doing outreach ministry than we actually do in a building, although we do have a building in all 10 locations. Now, out of those 10 locations, we have 3 new buildings. One went up May 2027 that's just been started this month. One of the buildings, which is in Asheville, the church only had to pay 20% to have it built. Tybee Island, Georgia, Covenant Fellowship of 8. It costs us nothing. Bristol, Tennessee, Bristol, Virginia. It costs us nothing because individual and organizations they're looking at the work that we're doing in the community, and so they're pouring back into us. The only condition we have, if we do decide to leave that building or leave that location, that we have to yield it back to the organization and or builders.
Okay.
And see, each area to generate their own funding, and the biggest resource is by us leasing out of because we need more time outreach.
Okay. So, how do you approach healing in communities impacted by trauma?
Therapy. Therapy is the number one thing. Go see a therapist. I know everybody say, but they don't want somebody into their mindset. There are plenty faith-based clergymen and therapists, psychologists that's out there. Everybody's just not out there to see how much money they can get off your insurance premium.
Well, what role should churches play in social justice?
Um, Having an awareness and advocates, being advocates for those that don't have a voice or don't want to speak up.
Well, see, that kind of goes back to those marginalized and underserved communities, that don't have enough resources or people are not reaching out to them enough. When you think about
Exactly.
that, when you think about that, what is it that you guys are doing in your church community, that's actually helping to shape a better narrative for people in those communities?
Having different seminars, giving out information, and showing the individual information. And if we are not connecting them to what it is, or if they don't feel appealed to be a part of what we have going on, we see them. We don't just leave them out there high and dry. We don't just sit there and say we watch the artists. We do research that's in their immediate area and give them the information. We follow up with them, but at the end of the day, it's individual. But we show that we care.
Okay. Um, how do you build trust with people who feel disconnected from the church?
By being genuine, by not putting on front, by being honest up front, by being yourself. That's just like I tell a lot of people that I meet newly. I'm no different than anybody else. I mean, yes, I'm called at a higher calling, but with that being said, I put my pants legs on one leg at a time like you do. I'm not no better than you. I just have a call in my life. So when individuals feel like they got to walk around eggshells around me, I let them know I'm not one of these pastors that's holding it down, or feel like that I'm not accessible or reachable. That's not me. Never have been, never will.
I think that sets you apart from from most that are in your profession,
Well, and
because I think a lot of times, huh?
the biggest is being a non-paid agent for the length of time that I have going for decades.
Yeah, because I think I could think back to the times when I was growing up, and that was never the case when you went to church, that you could just run to the preacher and the preacher's accessible like that. And so
Yeah.
when you do it this way, I mean, like, what makes you feel so much comfortable in this approach compared to yesteryear's approach?
Um, Again, by myself, by being genuine, by not putting on a facade. You know, that's basically it.
So, what is one outreach initiative you are most proud of?
Um, 7.
Say that one more
And being
time.
about God's business. Serving and about God's business.
Okay. So, how do you empower people to rebuild their lives?
To go deep within and search from within and gain an understanding and to know that there is help out here where they need it.
Well, when we chatted before, I told you we do Black History 365. When I asked you who was the most influential person in your life in Black history, you told me it was Malcolm X. Can you tell
Yes,
us why is Malcolm X the most influential figure in your life and career?
because Malcolm X was real. Um, he getting to a point in a place to feel like that he couldn't handle particular situations. He was on the front line. He was himself, and you could get an understanding of what he was being professional about.
So, what lessons from Malcolm X's transformation, discipline, and identity formation guide your leadership today?
Being around on following his tactics and accomplishing certain things that he was able to accomplish and just pursuing and proceeding forward.
So, in closing, can you what are some words of wisdom and encouragement do you have for our audience? How they could connect with you via social media, your website, all of those things that you think are pertinent for them.
That you connect with me, the informative information that you just listed, and also I'm across all various platforms. Anything to media, I'm a part of it. Um, the church is a part of it. If they inbox, whatever is their means method, email, um, however be able to do so. I've been on this walk for 39 years. No, I don't know it all, but I trust God enough to know that the stuff what particular situations or scenarios are that God got me.
So, do you have any words of wisdom and encouragement for our audience?
Move forward, be yourself, enjoy your life, live in the now, live in the reality, continue to push forward despite of all diagnoses, diagnoses, anything that comes your way that feel like it wants to cripple you. Continue moving forward.
So let me do this in closing. I have a closing monologue that I like to do, but also I like to say to our audience. Before I do it, are you able to stick around for a few minutes after the closing of the show?
Yeah.
For those of you that are watching on all of our channels, including our YouTube channel, if you have not yet subscribed, I ask if you would please support us by subscribing and enabling all notifications to our channels to where you're able to get the shows live and you're able to go back and watch all of the shows that have been previously recorded from all of our previous guests that will have all encouraging messages just like the one here today. So in closing, Apostle Benjamin-Carlindo-Carlos King Jr. reminds us that leadership is not a title. It is a calling. It is the willingness to study, to grow, to serve, and to stand in the gap for those who cannot stand for themselves. His journey reflects the power of education, the necessity of spiritual grounding, and the importance of community restoration. From the pulpit to the counseling room, from the boardroom to the streets, Apostle King embodies a leadership model that's rooted in discipline, compassion, and transformation. And like Malcolm X, He challenges us to evolve, to rise, to think, to build, and to become. This has been episode 66 of America in Black and White. I'm your host, Charles King, and as always, stay informed, stay inspired, and stay empowered. Please check us out tomorrow night. We have another great show.